Hi guys, this is Carla, and this time I'm here to review the first movie of the new Digimon Adventure Tri series. Um, this one is titled Reunion, and it was released just last week in Japan. More movies will follow because it's a series of 6 movies detailing what happened to the destined children after the end of Digimon 2. So that was quite a long time ago, and now in order to celebrate the 15th anniversary of Digimon, the animation company has decided to release a series of 6 movies. And this is just the first one out of the bunch. Again, it's titled Reunion, and I have to warn you, okay? Digimon was one of the first fandoms I ever took part in. Like it came out like right around that time when computers were starting to be everywhere. So it was one of the first fandoms in which I was involved with an online fandom kind of thing. Digimon is basically my childhood, okay? Okay, no, maybe not childhood per se. I'm totally aging myself here, but it was more around my tweenhood, I guess. Like 12, 13, 14, that kind of time. So, yeah, I mean, when I look back on it, I pretty much see Digimon as one of, like a huge part of my early teenhood, I guess, and definitely a fandom that I love coming back to. Like, even after all these years, I adore those characters. I grew up with them, and from Adventure to 2, and now to 3. So, if I gush a bit, you know why. Like, I've been waiting for this movie for so long. Like, since the moment it was announced, like that one time when the first trailer video came out, announcing that there would be a sequel series to Digimon 2, I pretty much like ran out of my room jumping and screaming and hugging everybody who came across my path, okay? Because it's my entire freaking childhood, okay? I just love this series so much. So I've been waiting for this for ages, it feels. And I'm so glad it's finally out. Like, you can't imagine, from the announcement to this point, it has felt like an eternity. So yes, I may gush about it a bit. I have this huge Scooby-Doo plush toy that I bought, I don't know, at some point years ago in like Universal Studios or something. And it's huge, and I'm really tiny, so a lot of the time it's almost like Scooby-Doo is hugging me because he's so big. I can actually hug him like a person. And sometimes when I'm in need of a hug, or I'm in need of like grabbing something and just holding onto something, I tend to grab my Scooby-Doo. And that when I sat down to watch the first episode of the first movie of Tree this afternoon, I decided to grab my Scooby-Doo because I knew that I was going to be squealing so much and laughing so much and just screaming so much that I would need something to hold on to. So yes, just, you can already, guess what this review is going to be like. I mean, I feel like giving it a 5 in every category just because it's Digimon and it's back and I am ecstatic. But I'm gonna try my best to like go through the actual thing and just tell you what I liked and the parts that I liked, the parts that I didn't like, because it wasn't perfect. But again, it's only the first movie, so I can't really blame them for not explaining everything. First off, I have to say, I have a huge kick just out of seeing these characters older, because whenever I think of them, I kind of think of them from their previous selves, right? I can't, it's really hard for me to imagine them growing up, but I am so glad that the series, that like the animators and stuff are already thinking of them growing up, and not just in regards to Digimon, but also to just teenagers, like real life teenagers with real life issues, and having to decide their future and stuff like that. I think that's really great. That was one of the parts I liked the best. The fact that Tai Chi is not sure what he wants to do with his life. I mean, he loves football, soccer, or whatever. He loves it, but you can't really live off that if you're not a professional, you know. So I like the fact that he has that issue, that he's not really sure what he wants to do with his life. He doesn't have a clue, and the only things he likes are football and Digimon, and both of them are kind of not there at the moment, I guess. So that was very interesting for me. Like, out of all the characters, I did not think that Tai Chi would be the one to be in that conundrum. So that was very, very interesting. And just seeing everybody back. Like, Yamato, suddenly, I mean, he's still playing, but he's not in the same band anymore, like creative differences and crap, and now he has a new band called Knife of Day, and everybody mocks him for the name. It's so great. It's hilarious. I laughed every time. We didn't see much of Sora, honestly. Like, she was there as usual, like playing mediator between Tai Chi and Yamato. But we didn't really see much of what she's doing. I guess she's still playing tennis. That's kind of what she did in 02, so I assume that she's still in it doing that. And just Koshiro, he's a cutie. I love him to death. I mean, I liked seeing his parents back, by the way. Like, they didn't say anything, but I think they're great parents. I mean, come on, they're awesome. And I like seeing them back. I like that he's still close to them. No teenage angst there or whatever. I liked I like the fact that Mimi can't just jump on a plane and come to Japan because she wants to. I've always loved that. I mean, come on. She's amazing. And she's so adorable. Like, she's just so open with everybody. It's so great. Takeru and Hikari, they I mean, they're cute. They're now they are the age in which the others were during 02. So that's interesting. They're 14. They're like getting to their teens and stuff, and it's cool. And I like that they're still good friends. So I mean, I really like where they all are at this point. Like, even Joe. Actually, Joe's storyline kind of tugged at my heart a bit, because I've always my favorite characters of this series have always been Yamato and Joe. They've always been my favorites, and it's just this whole thing kind of reminded me, like the whole Joe thing reminded me of a fanfic I had written a long time ago. Yeah, by the way, if you didn't know that about me, yes, I write fanfic. It's a big part of what I do in fandom, and it actually reminds me of a story I started up quite a few years ago, where the distant children kind of, they just kind of grew apart, and that had repercussions in the digital world. I mean, the only like huge difference was that in my case, it wasn't the Digimon crossing over to the digital world. It was more like the destined children getting trapped in the digital world. But it was still that idea that they kind of, as they grew up, they grew apart. And Joe was kind of the most affected one, because he was the one who didn't necessarily talk to the rest of them as often, because he was always busy with studying and whatnot. So he was kind of the odd man out, in a way. And I can totally see that happening here. And I really hope that they deal with the Joe thing in the next movie, because it was heartbreaking for me. The fact that even if these agent Men in Black people kind of came to get him because there was something happening at Haneda, and he was still like, no, sorry, I have to go home and study. Like, what is going on there? So I really want him to come back into the fold. Come on, he's one of the destined children. He has to be there for the rest of them at some point. So I can't wait to see what happens there. Just the entire thing, like even Tai Chi, I was really surprised with Tai Chi's subplot, honestly, because you wouldn't think he would be the one having that kind of internal debate, right? Because in the first season, even in the second one, Tai Chi's always the one, going in head first. He's do first, think later, and if you gotta fight, you gotta fight. As long as to save your friends, you have to fight. That's kind of the whole thing with the crest of courage and everything. He's always the one who wants to fight, and to see him now kind of thinking about things and just, it didn't really hit me until later. Like at first I thought he was just kind of scared, but then later on I realized that he kept having flashbacks to like destroyed places and in Odaiba and stuff, and I started to think that maybe he was starting to put more weight on the idea that of the damage that their fights caused and the casualties that might happen, which is, I think, very interesting, because I still remember how the epilogue for 02 ended and what Tai Chi is going to become. He's going to become a diplomat and do, working international relations between the digital world and the real world. And that is very interesting, because that means that he has to see both sides of the deal. And that's kind of what he's doing here, is like, yes, he wants to help his Digimon friends, and he knows he has to fight these, like, sick Digimons in order to save the world, but at the same time they're causing so much damage, and they might even kill someone. That's what he tells Agumon at one point. They might even kill someone, and he doesn't want that to happen, so he's trying to find a way with the least damage, the least casualties, and he can't find it. But I think that's definitely very, it makes sense with who Tai Chi has to become in the future, so I really like that. And just all of them, they're growing up so well. I think it's just, we didn't see too much of a few of them. Like, we don't know what Takeru's been doing, except the fact that he's, attractive to women, which, honestly, I could have told you 15 years ago. But, I mean, we don't know much about Sora, we don't know much about what Mimi's been doing, in the States, so, I would like to get to see more of that, but at the moment, I think it's okay. I mean, this was Tai Chi and Yamato's, sort of, episode, in a way. Another thing I also loved is all the ship teases. Damn it, writers. I mean, I know we all know how, Digimon ends, because we had an epilogue in 02, right? So we know how they all end, and we know who ends up together and who doesn't. So, I mean, I'm not one of those people who will, like, so all of a sudden say that the epilogue is worthless and has to be discarded or anything. I like the epilogue. I am okay with the matchups. I definitely ship Yamato and Sora. They're my biggest OTP in this series. And Miyako and Ken, I don't mind. I mean, they're cute. They're okay. I didn't necessarily ship them when the show was on, but I can deal with it. I like them as a match, so I don't mind. And I'm very aware that none of the others end up together. None at all. But I still have my ships, and I like that the writers kind of acknowledge that people have other ships, like, even if they're not going to make them happen, they can throw a bone here and there, and we're all like, yay, every time we catch something. So, I mean, there was, for the title, shippers, this must have been like heaven, okay? Because this whole thing where they were, every time they fight, it's like, ooh, sexual tension for people. I mean, I don't ship Taito, but I can see, where other people come from when they ship them. So, it's, the whole thing was kind of like an ode to Taito shippers. I mean, every time they fight, like, all the juicy drama is just lovely for them. And then at the end, they're back to being friends again. There's even like, some contact. They're, like, holding each other up and stuff. So I can totally see that the Taito shippers must be like flying over the moon right now. There wasn't much Yamato and Sora, which I thought was interesting. Maybe in the future, I hope. Listen to me, writers. Give me some Yamato and Sora, please. I need it. But I thought it was cool there that they kind of played on the triangle. I mean, I've always said I'm kind of sick and tired of this non-existent triangle, but I like when they hint at it, because I have to acknowledge that from the outside, that's what people might think, because they're all three of them are so close. And I mean, I like the little hints with the girls telling Sora, like, yeah, they're both so handsome, what are you going to do now? That was cute. And I like that Sora they were asking her to kind of decide whether to go to Yamato's concert or to go to Tai Chi's football match, and she was like, I have to go to both of them, because she's such a great girl that, she's gonna be there for both of them if it kills her. So I thought that was really sweet. There was also a hint, I caught at least a hint of the Kari too at the beginning when Takeru says that he's going to take someone to his brother's concert, and Hikari's like, oh, is that a girl? And he's like, yeah, why, are you jealous? That was cute. I mean, obviously they're just good friends, but I like that the writers throw in hints. Then there was the whole Koshiro Mimi thing, which was adorable. I mean, it's so cute. Koshiro I just wanted to pitch his cheeks through my screen. I mean, he's the most adorable little creature ever, and then he wanted to change his clothes so he would look good for Mimi, and it was just, everything was also adorable. I love that. But most of all, and this is the moment when I really screeched and like hugged my my Scooby-Doo plushie really freaking tight and just screeched. It was the hug between Joe and Mimi, because yes, I shipped them. I always have shipped them since the first series, and I just adore that they are such great friends that Mimi would just run to hug him. Like, it was adorable. I loved it, and I'm kind of just freaking out all over the place, because even if they don't get together, which they won't, I recognize that they won't, I would at least have that hug. Okay, I will always have that hug. It's like, we'll always have Paris, well, I'll always have that hug. So, I was really glad that they put that in, because I was hoping for something, and I think I got better than I was hoping for, so that's great. And not just that, not just the shipping issues, but just the whole thing was so funny. It was hilarious. Like, the Digimon, by the way, I have to mention that I had forgotten how grating Palmon's voice can be to my ears. Now I remember. But, apart from that, the Digimon was so adorable. They were all so adorable. I loved, there's very few things I love more in this show than when Digimon actually, like, dress up so they're not recognized. But come on, they're Digimon. You can't, it's like an awful disguise, and it still gets them everywhere. That one time when Palmon was wearing like this horrid dress that was way too big on her, and then Piyamon was like acting like a bird, and then Tailmon was acting like a cat, and it was just so funny. And then the part after that, when the girls go out to eat and the Digimon go with them, and they're like, oh, you're handsome, and he's like, handsome? No, I prefer footsome, I prefer armsome, I prefer headsome. That was hysterical. I laughed so much. There was also the part, the part when they all got together to discuss it, and then Koshiro's like explaining everything, right? And he just keeps going blah 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 about stuff that nobody's paying attention to anymore, and then all of a sudden everybody just starts speaking to each other, and like at one point Yamato and Tai Chi actually start arguing, like really yelling at each other, and Kushiro is still in the background speaking blah, 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 about something. I didn't even get what he was saying, but I just thought it was so funny that he was still speaking like nothing was going on. That was hysterical. Oh my god. And then just a bit later, after Yamato and Tai Chi have left, when Joe suddenly says that he has a girlfriend, and everybody's like their expressions, like you see Kosher in the background with like the whitest eyes and like a jaw dropping, and it was so hilarious. And everybody's like, "Sure, Joe, you have a girlfriend, yeah." And he's like, "Why the heck would you believe me? I do have a girlfriend, damn it." That was hysterical. I loved that. Like the entire movie was really very funny. I I just don't. I don't even know how else to call it. I laughed a lot. I really laughed a lot. Oh, Daichin Hikaru's mother, I love her. Like, okay, I know I already said I like Koshiro's parents, but I really love, like, out of all the parents, well, maybe Yamato's father, whom I also love, but I love Taichi's mother because she's so funny. She's always funny, and it was so good to see her today. She's like, "Oh, you little creatures can't hurt a fly," and Digimon go, "Yay!" It was so adorable. Like, I love her. I want to see more of her. Um, so yeah, that's it for the stuff that I like. The part I don't like is just the fact that I can't really understand what the heck is going on. I mean, there's this new girl whose name I can't remember right now, but I will remember at some point, hopefully. And she has a Digimon who has the same name as her, by the way, and I thought it was funny because it reminded me of Full Metal Alchemist when there's Mei, and then there's Mei-chan, the cat, or panda cat, whatever. And so I just, now I see it in Digimon, and I'm like, well, is this a custom that I don't know of? Like, do girls in Japan actually name their pets after themselves? I don't know, but I thought it was funny. But I don't know what the heck is going on. I mean, she's there, and she's okay. I mean, I don't dislike her or anything. I like her. I mean, I don't like her either. She's just kind of there. I don't know anything about her. That's the thing. She may or may not have a crush on someone. It seems to me like it might be either Yamato or Tai Chi. I tend to be more inclined toward Tai Chi just because, I mean, both of them were there in the first scene when she kind of like really blushed. But then in the next scene when she goes into the classroom, she kind of stares at Tai Chi. So I thought it might be him, you know. But other than that, we just don't know enough. I don't know enough about her to actually have an opinion. I mean, I don't dislike her, I don't like her. I just wish I knew why the heck she's so important, you know? Like, for a moment I thought that the the Kuwagamon were after Tai Chi, because it seemed that at some point it seemed that way. At the same time, it seems like it would be her, because I think the organization lady person, agency person lady, at some point said that something about I think it was the chosen one or the important one or something like that, and I think that's her, I guess. But I don't know, I don't know why she's important, so I'm kind of still waiting for it. The whole thing was so confusing. Like, we saw the Kuwagamon suddenly crossing over to the real world, and we saw someone either pulling them back or shoving them in again. Like, someone was controlling them, and we didn't know who the heck it was. And after a while, it turned out to be Alphamon, which, by the way, Alphamon, haha, I see what you did there. Drew a chuckle out of me, honestly. But, like, all of a sudden, we know that it's Alphamon, but then Alphamon can also, like, come and go as he pleases, I guess. Like, what is going on? Who's sending these Digimon? Is Alphamon, like, the big bad here? Like, what is going on? That's the thing about this movie. Like, it gave me more questions than answers, you know? By the end of the first movie, I just don't feel like I know anything. I don't know what's going on. I know there's some kind of danger. I don't know what that danger is. I don't know who's sending in this Digimon. What is causing them to go, like, insane? And how they can cross from one side to the other. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. And, okay, I know that it's the first movie. I'm aware of that. But at the same time, you know, I just wish it had been a bit more self-contained in a way. because I really don't understand anything. I love it for the nostalgia factor. I love it for the characters. I love it for the drama. I don't love it for the plot. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what the plot was. I don't really get it yet. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt because again, it's a series of movies, so I know that it's not meant to be self-contained. But I'm kind of kicking myself that now I have to wait until March to finally get some answers. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So it's kind of mean of them to not explain anything. I mean, even the whole agency thing, like these people who took the destined children to Haneda, just who are they? I mean, I like the professor. I thought he was cool. I thought he was great when he was trying to help Tai Chi, but I don't know what the organization does. Like what is their point? Are they looking for this girl? Are they like trying to support the destined children when it comes to like invading Digimon or something? Like what are they doing? Because it seemed like they weren't around when the Kuwagamons were attacking. They just kind of shoved the destined children over there and that's it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that I just don't get, and that's kind of my main complaint about this, that there's so much that I don't understand, and it irks me that I have to wait until March to finally see where this goes. But other than that, I'm really glad to have Digimon back in my life. I'm glad that the destined children are back. I'm glad. I love the way that the writers are making them grow up. I think the drama was really good. I love that they're dealing with real issues on top of, just the Digimon. So I thought that was really great, and I really loved that movie, despite the fact that I don't understand a freaking thing. I loved it, and I'm so happy. I'm getting goosebumps again. Ugh. I'm so happy to have Digimon back in my life. I never thought this was gonna happen. Like, I thought I would be 80 and still thinking back to, like, season 1. Because it was the only, like, 1 and 2 were the only ones, like, we got. And I'm just so glad that it's back in my life. Like, I needed Digimon back in my life. I didn't know I needed it so much until now. And I really love it. And it's so great to see these characters again. And to see how they've grown up. And to see where they're going. And how they get to where they have to be. I'm really interested to see how Tai Chi comes to his, to decide his career, where the whole astronaut thing comes for Yamato, which, by the way, I loved it. I know I'm in the minority, but I love that he's an astronaut because that was my dream when I was a kid. So I loved, like, my favorite character becoming an astronaut. That's, like, mind blown. I love it. So I really want to see if they touch on that. Joe, what's Joe gonna do? I mean, obviously he's gonna be a doctor, but how is it going to go down? And just everything, especially what the heck is going on with the 02 destined children? Like, we saw silhouettes of them at the beginning, when Tai Chi was waking up. We saw them, and they seemed like they were dying. Are they dead? Like, is it a flashback? Or, where are they? Because I would think that if there's a Digimon emergency somehow in the real world, that they would be the first ones Tai Chi would call. But nobody's even mentioned them. Like, all we saw was that glimpse of them at the beginning and then nothing. So, like, I really want to know what's up with them. Are we going to see them in the movies at all? I hope so, because, they're an integral part of, their friendships and stuff. And they should be going to school with Takeru and Hikari, right? So, I don't know, I just want to know what the heck is going on. I hope they explain it, but the rest of it I loved. I unabashedly loved this movie. Like, I'm so glad to have Digimon back and just to have my babies back, because they are my babies. I'm sorry, they've been my babies for 15 years, so I'm just so glad to have them back, and I'm really proud of how they dealt with them this time around. And if they can explain it a little bit more in the next one, that would be great. But for the moment, I'm totally satisfied. And I'm going to be watching this movie again and again and again until March. So, yeah, wait for that, for my next review of it in March. And for the moment, be sure to visit our website at geekypub.com for reviews of other movies, of TV shows, books, games. We have a ton of stuff over there, so be sure to visit and check it out. Also, if you guys wanna be alerted whenever a new review comes in, be sure to subscribe to our channel because that's where we first post them. They always go up on the YouTube channel before they go on the site, so be sure to subscribe so you get noticed as soon as they go up. And in the meantime, I will be sitting in a corner and waiting for March to come along. So I will see you guys in my next review. Bye.